Good morning, Substack. It's KingRay vet. You'll have to excuse this mic this morning. I didn't feel like hooking my phone up in the other room, and none of my mics are working at the moment. I found out that AirPods, these particular version of AirPods, are not compatible with Windows 11. No matter how hard I try, those two will not talk to each other correctly. I either get all sorts of noise or the lag time is so bad that I can't even upload the video. But anyway, I thought I'd get on this morning because I don't think I've made an article recently, written an article recently, or jumped in a video lately. So I thought I'd chime in of a few things that I've been thinking about as time rolls on, and I keep writing and writing and writing. Seems like I'll never get this freaking book written, but anyway, I thought I'd go over some things I've been thinking heavily about. In fact, I wanted to make a video 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I was troubleshooting the AirPods and just going round and around with Microsoft about it. And of course, they're trying to push me to Apple. Apple and Microsoft are competitors. Okay, so Apple isn't committed to making things work for Windows 11, and Windows 11 isn't committed to getting their software to work for Apple. So we get caught in the middle. We get stuck in the middle. In fact, the tech support guy or woman, I don't know who I was talking to, said exactly that yeah, users are caught in the middle because they're not QAing things properly to sync with one another. And I've been talking about this QA thing for a while now. The fact that they no longer have beta testers, they no longer test their software with a variety of platforms. They just don't freaking care anymore. They throw the stuff out there, see what sticks against the wall. What works, works. What doesn't, oh well. We are stuck in the middle and can't get these guys to talk to each other, let alone get the software to work correctly. So anyway, that's enough of that. I'm just so upset because I know I wouldn't have gotten away with this level of mediocrity in the software business, in the IT software business, back in the day when I had a career. No way could we get away with this sloppiness that is going on these days. From AI to hardware to software, it doesn't even matter anymore. So, but what I really wanted to talk about was I think I finally bumped into what it was about the civil rights movement in the 21st century that is the reason why we don't have unity. I'm absolutely sure this is it because I was watching a live, no, actually the playback of a live with Walter Rhein, I believe his last name is, Will Fullwood. I'm not sure about these people's last names. This lady named Samantha and another lady. And I was listening to them, and Will was talking about taking his platform back to what he thought it would be before the pandemic hit, which was in-person meeting with a group of people for him to transform anti-racism agenda or racism agenda, the fight against it. He wants to take it back offline like he intended it to be in the first place. And I made a comment to him that, yeah, I was involved with a business that did many, many seminars, lots of seminars. And they were all in person before the pandemic hit. And when COVID hit, they went down for a while. And when they came back up, they had switched everything to a digital platform. They had put everything online, put all the seminars online. I even got to test some of that stuff as a beta tester. They called us early adopters, and we get to attend some seminars for free and stuff like that for the help that we gave them before they brought everything up on the digital platform. So I did a few seminars, okay, with the digital format. And what I noticed almost immediately was that it was nothing like being in person. I mean, just nothing. And that it bothered me, but I couldn't put my finger on it except that I missed being with people. I missed sitting there talking with people one-on-one or in a group. I missed the hugs. I missed just everything about it being live, in-person seminars. I don't like the online format. I don't like the digital format. But there's enough people that have never done them in person that don't even know what they're missing. I know what I'm missing. That one-on-one in-person thing, that's what it is that's missing in unity. That's what we had during the civil rights movement. That's what we had during the LGBT, well, T wasn't there, LGBT movement back in the 70s and 80s. That's what the difference was between the unity that we were able to have without the internet and the lack of unity that we have with the internet. Listen, people can be anything they want to be online. It does not trigger. And I have said this in various articles and even talked about a little bit on videos. There is something that is missing when you're online talking with people. They are not your freaking friends. You've never met them. You've never talked to them on the phone. All you do is see them on and off if you're even able to have a full conversation with anybody on the internet. And it's like trying to date online. That thing isn't solidified. It isn't even freaking real until you meet that person you're attracted to. That's when everything comes into play. When your energy is one-on-one, in person, in the face, you can see all their expressions. You can hear what they say. You can hear the inflection in their voice. You can see all of those things that you cannot see online. Can't see it. Okay? All of those things come into play. Now imagine 7 billion people on the planet, of which more than half of them are using some kind of a device. They're using some kind of method of communication, but nobody meets anybody. That's why there's a loneliness epidemic, even though you're talking to tons of people all the time. Online, you're not really talking to them with your whole chest. You're not really talking to them with your whole emotions. You're not really talking to them. In other words, it's a little disingenuous because you are not being your full self online. There is no way all of these people from all over the planet, which is who you're usually, you don't know who you're talking to, where they are half the time, unless you notice something different. Like I notice when I'm talking to Canadians because they spell words a little differently. What is one of the words that they spell differently? But anyway, I notice when I'm talking to somebody from Canada. I also notice if I'm talking to somebody in Africa. I don't know how I notice that, but I do. And so how are you going to get unity of 300 and something million people in the United States when you're not even talking to everybody in the United States, nor are you trying to build relationship with these people you're talking to online? You're not really trying to. You're cooking, you're watching TV, you're doing other things, your kids are running around the house. All sorts of things are going on to distract you to the point where you're not focused in on these people that you're talking to. You cannot build unity that way. That's what we had back then that we do not have today, where people are being authentic, genuine, sincere. None of that shit is going on online. There's a little bit of that, yes. There is a little bit of that in play, but not full out. Not like it was when you didn't have the internet and you were forced to be with people. You were forced to put your whole heart in it. You were forced to put your whole chest in it. You were forced to do things that you are not forced to do when you're online. So we can't get unity because we've got too many different factions of this shit going on. It's epidemic. It's wildfire. It's like nuts. Where all of look what Fuckerbook did. I call Facebook Fuckerbook because it's always fucking with me. But they redefined what a friend was. People think that just because you check about, you accept a friend request or you send a friend request, that once that person on the other end accepts or you accept from them, instant friendship. No, there is no such a thing as instant friendship. And I have had people tell me, even up to today, that after one conversation, maybe two, oh, you're my friend now. No, you're not. You're an acquaintance. You're no longer a stranger, but you're an acquaintance until I meet you. I have a one-on-one conversation with you, and it can even be a conversation by video. As long as we're looking at each other eyeball to eyeball and we are talking to each other that way, that can begin to solidify a friendship. But until that happens, it is not. But Fuckerbook started that shit of redefining what a real friend was, and then these new young people coming into the mix had no idea how to make a real friend. Listen, I can go sit on that platform for 3 days straight, and all I see in various groups that I belong to is looking for friends, looking for friends, looking for friends. Do you live in my area? Looking for guys to hang out with, looking for ladies to meet, looking for this, looking for that, looking for friends. Looking for friends is not how you make friends. You make friends by having a conversation. You make friends by communicating. And the realistic way to do that is in person, not on the internet. That's what's missing when I do my favorite seminars of all time. That business that I do the seminars with changed my life forever. But back in the day, all of those seminars that I was involved in were person to person. They were live. They were 300 to 350 people in the room training together in person. And today you talk to people that are doing it today that are also doing it with people back in the day. They will tell you, oh, it was tough as nails back in the day. Was it? No, the only thing tough about it, I believe anyway, was that it was in person. And that's what made it tough. And that's what people are avoiding today is the tough part. They're not trying to reach any further than the superficial online relationships. They're superficial, folks. And I don't mean fake. I just mean superficial as opposed to meeting person to person. That's what I have to say about that, is that the reason there's no unity in the United States of America, because everybody's hiding behind a fucking device. And they're too afraid to reach across the table. They don't even know how, half of them. And maybe the other half forgot that this is how we built things back in the day. This is how we were, and we didn't have the internet to communicate what we were up to. Yet it spread nationwide very fast without this as a communications tool. That happens way faster than what we did back in the day. Okay, way faster. But check it out. We unified faster back in the day than they are today. You got to ask yourself, what's the difference? What's the difference? You old timers that didn't grow up with the internet, what's the difference? You tell me. Um, I think I hit the nail on the head. But, of course, there will be a lot of people that will disagree with this. And I don't really, frankly, I don't care. Because I know without a shadow of a doubt that those seminars that I bonded with people, I mean a bond that is unbreakable. Those bonds were a hell of a lot stronger than this shit that is going on today with those very same seminars. I did something called the Curriculum for Living. I did it in person. I did it in person the second time. And people were asking me to do it again. I was like, online? No, thank you. Because I've done other seminars online and I didn't meet anybody. I didn't really establish bonds. People really didn't know me. I really didn't know them. I learned who people were better in person than I could ever do online. There's too many distractions online. People are doom scrolling all day and they're just too distracted to create lasting real relationships with each other, be it friendships, business relationships, intimate relationships. It all has to be taken offline to solidify it. It's like trying to be married to somebody and never meeting them. Would you do that? Maybe they did. Well, mail order brides, they did it. But I don't know about that. It's like, ew. Are you going to marry somebody you don't know, you've never met? Really? I wouldn't. By the same token, don't tell me you're my ally and I've never met you. I don't know if I die for you and you don't know if you die for me. I got in that conversation with somebody recently where I told them that word is bothering me because these people claiming to be allies don't give a shit about you, but they want you to call them an ally to suit their own feelings, not to suit you, who they're saying they're an ally for or an ally of or whatever the fuck. It's like, nah, you're no ally of mine. And I don't care if they're in my community, not in my community, black, white, I don't care what they are. If we don't have a relationship, you're full of shit. Okay, what was that? I swear there's a bug flying around here that I can't see. It gets out of my view before I catch it. So that's that. I'm gonna leave that alone and let y'all marinate on what I'm saying about the reason why there is no unity in the United States. And, and by the same token, all this screaming and yelling that people are doing at the GOP, at this corrupt regime, they're ignoring everybody all day, every day. They don't give a shit what everybody is talking about. They don't care. Do you think they would have that same level of despondency and apathy and don't give a fuck if all of these people were in their face? Is this technology, this online environment that they have figured out, we can just ignore y'all because you're not in our face. You're not on our front doorstep. You're not visiting our where we live, where we work, all that kind of stuff. They wouldn't do that if those 7 million people on the No Kings rally showed up at their house. They wouldn't be able to ignore that, folks. But they can ignore it happening in this big-ass echo chamber that we have going on around that's not scaring nobody. They're not scared. They're not even bothered. They don't give a fuck about you or anybody else, and there's nobody that's going to get them to do anything about anything because people are hiding behind their devices and they know it. They absolutely know it. These lies versus the truth. Where is all that happening? In the same fucking vacuum. All these big and bad cult members, Where are they doing most of their dirty work? Online. You think those same people would show up in somebody's neighborhood and talk all big and bad like that? No, they wouldn't. Let y'all motherfucking cult members come up in the hood talking all the shit you talk online and see what happens to you. You wouldn't do it. See, it's almost like a fake environment where they control everything because, you know, they own all of this stuff. All of it. They own it all. These same oligarchs, tech bros, GOP, the regime, the cult, these white nationalists that call themselves Christians, all of them people own all of these mediums that we're communicating with. You know what they don't own? What they can't own? Person-to-person meetings. If all of these people got together in their communities and talked about these things offline and got it together offline and figured out how to network offline. It ain't working online, is it? Is it? Is this your idea of working? Balance, grasshoppers. There's no balance with this. You're either online, you're offline, and when you're offline, you're doing something else. When you're online, you're engaged, and then you get offline and you're not engaged. You engage, disengage, engage, disengage. You do that all day long. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers got these plans upon plans upon plans that they've been working on since the 1980s. And truth be known, they've been working on it since they lost the Civil War. And y'all ain't been paying attention. So here they come, umpteen 100 years later, with all this crap under everybody's nose. And now they're doing it, thumbing their nose at you, because you can't stop them online. They don't give a fuck what you're saying. And all of these people that are making these podcasts day in and day out, that if you sit around Substack all day, you'll see them fire off all day. They're not listening to them. They're not listening to the people in the comments. They're not listening to anything. You know, we're all talking to each other. We're not talking to them. They're not watching these lives. None of them are. Oh, but these famous podcasters done come over here and found out a way to grift from you and make money off of you, to tell you stuff and get you all riled up and get you all upset, to do absolutely nothing. Nothing. They're not telling you, they're not giving you plans on how to get together and move forward together, are they? No, they're just giving you information. They're giving you the news. They're professional reporters, or they're just very good orators, and they talk a good game and they get you all riled up, and then they go off and do their thing while you're sitting there stewing on everything they said, but still doing nothing. And you know what all this is creating? A pass. Oh, that's what I was going to say too. Listen, during the civil rights movement that was started by black people that had no power, no vote, no guns, no weapons, we didn't have any choice but to try to attack the system in a peaceful manner. If we had not done that, because we had no power, not really, we had to choose that method. We had no other choice, or we would have gotten, all of us would have got killed right away. They had the military, they had the guns, they had everything. They had the money, they had it all. So then you fast forward to today, with this bullshit that's gone on for the last year. And you got a whole bunch of white people that got all the power in the fucking country looking back at what was going on during the civil rights movement, the civil rights era, with a bunch of black people with no power, and they're trying to duplicate what we had to do back then, when they've got the power to do more than that. To do more than that. Who do you think all these laws benefit and were created for? White people. Y'all got way more power than you're utilizing. And again, you're not taking it seriously, and they know it, which is why they're ignoring you. You're not using your power. You're trying to act like you're black. You're not black, you're white. And all the laws and everything that goes on in this country was meant to benefit your privileged asses. So act like it. Don't try to act like black people, because you're not. You never will be. But I see that as a convenient excuse to, again, wrap it all the way around to do nothing. To play it safe. To take no risk whatsoever. This shit online is not a risk. The only risk you face online is surveillance, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. They're not going to try to nullify a shitload of white people in the United States. No, they're not. And the protests, again, you're trying to use a method that we used long ago because we had no other choice. Is that the only other choice you have? Y'all control the local governments. You control the federal governments. You control way more than you're using. It's like having a brain and only using a little teeny bit of it. When you've got more power than that. You've got more power to affect legislation. You've got more power to affect this government, this regime, this bullshit, this corruption, all of this stuff that's going on. You've got way more power than we as a collective did back in the day, a bunch of black people that had some white people jump in, to join that movement back then. But again, we didn't have the internet. So we had to be together. We didn't even have to learn how to be together. We were raised that way. Now you got a whole bunch of people that were raised online and that have no clue what they're doing in person. As witnessed when I told you that I caught my son texting his girlfriend in the same room with her. And I told him that, boy, you better put that fucking phone down and talk to her. And it was when he stopped hiding behind that phone that he learned how to communicate. He learned how to face those demons within himself, those parts of himself that were insecure, the parts of himself that had no confidence, the parts of himself that didn't believe in himself. You think you're going to believe in yourself by what you do online? It's what you do out there in the real world is what will increase your confidence, which will be able to attack those insecure demons inside that would have you shrink from every fucking thing. Balance. And stop acting like you're black, white folks, because you're not. You have more options. You have more choices than we had. You have a lot of things that we don't have. So stop hiding behind that, because all you're looking like is a bunch of weak-ass fools that aren't doing anything about anything. You're giving this regime a pass again. Been giving them a pass since the Civil War. You do it in various ways, but you're still giving them a pass. They're still ignoring the fuck out you. How are you going to get... You say you outnumber them? Really? You ain't acting like it. You're not acting like it. You're acting like they outnumber you. Just because they have more money and some connections in a small little circle of this country. We're not trying to connect. Not really. We're trying to use technology that they created for them. And it's not working. So, and the last thing I'm going to talk... How long have I been talking? almost 30 minutes. Oh, 30 minutes on the nose. So even the way that they're, this lie versus truth thing. Every time this regime and that nutty professor up there in the White House um, tells a lie, he's saying that for his people. He's saying that to keep his base clueless. He's saying that to keep them in the cult. He's saying everything he's saying are marching orders and dog whistles to his base. He doesn't give a fuck what we think. The people who aren't part of his base. He does not care. He's talking to the cult, the oligarchs, the broligarchs, the tech bros, the white nationalists. He's talking to his people and only his people. And as long as he tells a lie and he covers up tells a lie and gets us chasing his lie over here while he's doing something over there. This is mob behavior all the way down the line. It's mob behavior where they're putting all sorts of fancy casino in front of you while in the back room they're laundering money or drugs. The back room is where everything is happening that people can't see. They don't even want to speculate what's going on behind the shit show. It's all a mirage. Smoke and mirrors. Everything you can think of that leads to corruption is how this machine is operating. And until people have the courage to confront it, I mean really confront it, in person, live, and not running up and down the street with signs. I mean literally. Walter had that idea, is get a whole bunch of people together and show up to governor's mansion or show up somewhere out there in the public to stand in front of their house and demand answers and demand accountability, demand responsibility, demand these things. If that popped up all over the country, I bet you get more action than you do woofing about this shit online. I bet. I don't know. What do y'all think? These are just the thoughts that I had 3 weeks ago when I was trying to get my AirPods to work and they wouldn't. And I ended up having to do a bunch of things and kept bringing in an update that seemed to be causing a problem, an additional problem. And then I had to keep installing it, uninstalling it because it kept trying to creep in. And now I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it altogether because I don't want it on my machine ever. But they've even got that all fucked up, how you have to try to work around these stupid updates that come through that might break things. It's Tuesday morning. I'm thinking about, I had an old acquaintance that passed away, a full-bird colonel, a female full-bird colonel, who was a colonel during the Vietnam War. And she had to sacrifice her whole life to be a colonel. Back then, if you were female, you had to sacrifice family. You were not allowed to have children if you were an officer in the Army. And maybe the other branches of the military too. But anyway, she was a tough old broad. And I spent some time with her. I had many conversations with her. And then we dropped out of communications. And I'm not even going to talk about why, because, I don't like talking ill of the dead. But we dropped out of communication. And I knew she was very frail when I was hanging out around her. And that, she passed away. So I'm supposed to go to a funeral tomorrow. And it's cold as fuck here. I don't know if I'm going to make it. At that funeral tomorrow. I'm thinking about going to the wake tonight, viewing of her body. I don't know what I'm going to do up to this point, but I will talk with everybody later. I just wanted to check in with you. Have a good day, everybody.